Well, more bad news for Ubisoft ahead of the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows. It looks like they're not hitting the numbers that they quite anticipated. There's a story coming out of that Park Place. Now, granted, it is a rumor, but it is a rumor from a highly respected individual who does have a lot of insider knowledge within the industry. So let's get into the article. It says, rumor. Assassin's Creed Shadows pre-orders less than 800 units from the national chain with over 900 stores. Before we even get into the article, it's really not a surprise. Ubisoft hasn't really been hitting what they're known for in the last few years. Actually, probably a lot longer than that. Assassin's Creed has kind of ran its course. I enjoyed the game when it first came out years ago, Atelier, and I also enjoyed Ezio. But it's really lost its way since then. And it's really unfortunate because since the beginning of Assassin's Creed, this is actually what we've been asking for, which is a Assassin's Creed that takes place in Japan. And here we are, we finally get one, but of course it's not without controversy. But let's keep reading in the article here, because just off the bat here, it looks really bad, right? I mean, if it's only 800 reservations for 900 stores, that's less than one copy per store, which again, it's not really that surprising considering the amount of controversy that this game has. Well, let's keep reading here. It says, a rumor claims that physical pre-orders for Ubisoft's upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows game are less than 800 from a national retail chain that has over 900 stores. This rumor comes from Craig Skitmus, I think I'm saying his name right, or Skitter Craig, who owns and hosts the Side Scrollers podcast. So you probably have heard this podcast before. It does have a lot of, bigger commentary people and news people that's in the industry. They do come on the show. So it is coming from a source that does have a lot of insider knowledge regarding these type of things. A lot of leaks get sent to this guy too. So he's probably spot on with this. Anyway, we continue. He wrote on X, my insider told me as of this morning at their nationwide big box chain, Assassin's Creed Shadow has less than 800 pre-orders combined for Xbox and PS5. Now, I mean, if that's true, like I said earlier, I mean, we're talking one copy, actually not even one copy per store. And it's really not that surprising considering the type of things that Ubisoft is doing that's affecting especially the Japanese culture in the last couple of months. When it comes to Assassin's Creed, they try to mix in a bit of fantasy with history, which is always fun to do. To kind of change, I would say, history a little bit, to kind of make it more dramatic, more entertaining, if you will. The changes that they made, though, unfortunately, is highly offensive to the Japanese culture, and rightfully so. And it's kind of hollow. Like, we kind of see through what they're doing. So if you're not familiar with the current state of the new Assassin's Creed game, there is a samurai they're going with, or what they call a samurai, named Yasuke, who they're basically saying is the first black samurai. But we know now that just isn't true. A lot of Japanese people, a lot of historians have came out and rebuked this claim, and has started a massive controversy between Ubisoft and just the Japanese people at large. Not to mention, it's pretty widely rejected as well in the gaming community. We can see through it. We see what they're doing. A lot of people have already spoken up against this. We have, with the new Assassin's Creed game, you can either play Yasuke, the first black samurai, what they call the first black samurai, or you can play the female, I forget her name, but there is obviously a female that you can play as well, hitting that DEI quota. We know what they're doing. And they're essentially changing history to fit their DEI agenda. And it's just not working this time. It's something that, Japan takes their history very serious. A lot of cultures do as well, but Japan is very serious about respecting their traditions. And to take a figure like this and then change it just so that it can fit your DEI goals for your next video game is just a really bad move, especially when we've been waiting for a Japanese-style Assassin's Creed. Now, this really isn't that much of a surprise considering that Ubisoft hires people like Kim Belair. And for those who don't know who Kim Belair is, she's basically one of the founding members and one of the main writers for Sweet Baby Inc., which we all know how that company is. And basically that company has led to almost every single major downfall in gaming right now, with tons of games coming out just bombing, is a clear result to Sweet Baby Inc.'s direction with their video games. They're essentially just a DEI group that focuses more on identity politics than they do actually making a good game. I mean, just take the most recent Suicide Squad. The game obviously got handed over to them, and the story in that game is mid at best, but clearly there's a lot of DEI initiatives with what they did to Joker, what they did to Mr. Freeze, who now isn't a Mr. at all, and which kind of defeats the whole purpose of Mr. Freeze. Great story there, completely destroyed by Sweet Baby Inc. and people like Kim Belair. But that's what we come to expect now out of Ubisoft, since they want to hire companies like Sweet Baby Inc. We get them changing history, turning Yasuke in the first Black Samurai, something that we know now isn't true. But what can you expect? After hiring Kim Belair, obviously the historian that they were listening to was Thomas Lockley, who has now been found out to be a total fraud, who has been caught changing Wikipedia pages. I mean, we can see this tweet here. This is from Grums. Great guy. If you haven't followed him, make sure you follow him. He calls out all the hypocrisy that there is in the gaming world. But it says here, Thomas Lockley, Yasuke historian, has deleted his Facebook page. The Japanese have been hammering the fact checks on Thomas Lockley, the historian widely cited by other papers, book, and official sources for the proof that Yasuke was a samurai. They said he's a fraud and has been finding out he's been editing Wikipedia under an alias to promote his books and papers. This was the guy that Ubisoft wanted to listen to. Him, combined with people like Kim Belair, is what led to this utter travesty of the Assassin's Creed Shadow game, a game that was highly anticipated since the beginning of Assassin's Creed's, conception, back on the Xbox 360. And what's really sad is that we just recently got two awesome Asian-themed games. I mean, you take a game like Wukong, completely mopping the floor with Ubisoft with their current two games. Right? We got Assassin's Creed from Ubisoft. We got Star Wars Outlaws, which we all know is just not performing at all. Wukong, brand new developer, completely destroyed both of these games, topping the charts, breaking records across the video game industry. But if you want to look for a better, more, I would say, Japanese-themed game, something similar to Assassin's Creed, look no further than Ghost of Tsushima. A fantastic game. Just beautiful game from beginning to end. It's like one of the greatest experiences in gaming that you can have. The story is phenomenal. It does take some Japanese history. They obviously add some fantasy elements to it, but it doesn't interrupt the history or the flow of history in the game at all. In fact, a lot of Japanese people love that game. The people who are in that game are phenomenal. The actors are awesome. The guy who plays Jin Sakai is just, I could watch him all day. I love the PC release. I'm so excited for the show of Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm very excited for the sequel of Ghost of Tsushima. And we come back to Assassin's Creed, the leader of this assassin-style, ninja-style combat franchise, essentially. And here we are, finally in Japan, what we've always wanted. And instead of giving it to a Japanese actor or a Japanese character, we take a character that was never a samurai and tell the Japanese people, oh, he was a samurai. Trust us, we know better. And you will accept it. And obviously, it's not going to go over well. And it hasn't gone over well. As this report's coming out, as we're talking about, less than one copy per store, it's really not that surprising. No one's going to play this game. No one's going to be happy about this game. And let's make no mistake, Ubisoft is not known for making high-quality games anymore. Gone are the days that I grew up with Ubisoft. As a kid, I remember I loved Ubisoft. Rayman was phenomenal. And of course, one of the greatest games that I love, one of the biggest hidden gems in the gaming community is Beyond Good and Evil. Fantastic game. And they just recently had a remaster of it. It had some bugs when it came out, but it's good now. You can play it. And like me, if you're an Ubisoft kid growing up, I'm waiting for, Beyond Good and Evil 2. Let's focus on that. I strongly recommend you playing it. But instead, we get people who are more interested in filling a DEI quota to come up with a story and try to change history because they know better, because it fits their narrative better. So we get this game, Assassin's Creed Shadows with Yasuke, the first Black Samurai, of which that no one's going to play. I mean, we take a look at Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws is performing terribly right now. I mean, the game is filled with tons of bugs that you come to know if you play Ubisoft games. You know what I'm talking about. Stuff just doesn't work. And the launch of Star Wars Outlaws was already a massive disaster. You paid $130 for early access just so that you have to delete your account. Or excuse me, delete your save data, because there was a bug, a massive bug, mind you, with early access people. Again, $130. But guess what? You couldn't even get past the first planet. So after the update that they provided, the only way that you could progress or essentially take this update is to delete your save data. You can either not progress past the first planet or you can start completely over. And again, this is like a RPG game. So people are invested in collecting all the things, getting all the achievements, essentially just collecting everything, which that takes time. And apparently Ubisoft doesn't think your time is that important. So, you can delete your game after you dropped $130 on the early access. But to swing back to Assassin's Creed Shadows, I just think the game is not going to do well. And I think this is a great lesson for them. I think they need to sit down and actually listen to the gaming community and stop listening to people like Kim Belair and stop listening to people like Mr. Lockley over here, the guy editing Wikipedia pages to change history. These are people that you really shouldn't be surrounding yourself with, and you should really take a page out of Sucker Punch and just sit down, play Ghost of Tsushima, or play Wukong, or sit down and watch the TV show Shogun was just so good. If you haven't seen Shogun, please go watch it. I also just got done watching Tokyo Vice, another awesome Japanese show. Ken Watanabe is one of my favorite. Love his voice. I really want him to be Splinter. Just be Splinter. For Turtles, I think he would be the best Splinter voice right now. But I mean, they have the Japanese people and gaming people so upset that there's a petition to completely cancel the game. If we head over to change.org, the Japanese already have a petition at almost 105,000 signatures to cancel Assassin's Creed Shadows, as they see it as highly offensive. It's taking their history and just completely throwing it in the dumpster fire, because it's more important for us to look good than it is for us to be accurate. And I understand it's a game. It's fantasy, Shane. You're supposed to have a good time. You can take some liberties and change stuff here and there. Again, take a look at Ghost of Tsushima. They obviously fantasize about some stuff, which, I get it. But this is a hollow change. We know it's a hollow change. We can see it, and we see right through them. Every gamer does. There's so many gamers who are upset about this. It's essentially taking something we love. A lot of gamers, including myself, we love the Japanese history. We do. It's a very fascinating history. And even when it comes to their folklore, it's so fascinating, right? It's so fun to read, and it's so interesting. And when you start changing it, you're essentially changing something that we liked. So in other words, if it was the way you wanted it to be, we probably wouldn't have liked it that much, right? We like it because this is how it was originally, and we want to keep it that way. We want to keep the Japanese history the way it is because that's why we like it, and that's why we'll continue to like it. And that's why we continue to buy games like Ghost of Tsushima and Wukong, who is absolutely destroying Ubisoft right now. Which, again, congratulations to the Wukong team. Fantastic, beautiful game. And I'm happy that they just stick to their roots. Who cares what this DEI stuff is? Because at the end of the day, it's about who's buying the games. And no one's buying Star Wars Outlaws, and no one's going to buy Assassin's Creed Shadows. I mean, at least I don't think they will. I'm sure normal people will get it, and that's totally fine. Again, life is short. If you want to play it, absolutely play it. But someone like me, I think I'm probably going to either, if the game is gifted to me, of course I'll play it. And, if it goes on sale, give it a shot. Why not, right? I'm going to obviously not get it on day one. I have no desire to play this game. I would rather play Ghost of Tsushima instead. In fact, I hope when Assassin's Creeds come out that you'll see a spike in Ghost of Tsushima play on the Steam charts than you would Assassin's Creed. I would love to see what the numbers look like when Assassin's Creed Shadows come out. I want to see how many people are playing a Ghost of Tsushima and Wukong versus how many people are playing Assassin's Creed Shadow when it actually releases. So my advice to Ubisoft is to just stop listening to these DEI people. Stop finding historians that are changing Wikipedia pages so he can rewrite history to sell books, and start listening to real historians. Actually spend some time in Japan. Go over there, talk to the people who actually know the history, because believe me, the Japanese love their history and they love sharing their history. In fact, I think if you actually took time and listened to it, Ubisoft, you probably wouldn't want to change anything. And what's really sad is you want diversity. What's wrong with the Japanese lead? This was a perfect opportunity to stay diverse, and that would have been fine. And people love Japanese leads, or Ghost of Tsushima would not do well. Shogun, which is one of the best shows there is that has an insane amount of views, wouldn't have done well, right? So obviously people don't mind if it's not a white dude for the main character, but what they need is a character that makes sense with the story, and this one clearly doesn't. What do you guys think? Are you guys going to be playing Assassin's Creed Shadows? Have you guys actually played Ghost of Tsushima, watched shows like Shogun? Let me know down in the comments below. And that's all I got for you today. And honestly, it's probably more than you needed. If you laughed, smash the like button and subscribe. And if you didn't, laugh anyway. I'm Shane Games, wishing you a beautiful night. Stay awesome. And I'll see you in the next one.